This is Rubbernecker Stamp Set number 907, Mums. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the image out of the package and we're going to take the stamps, turn them upside down, and we're going to lay them over the top of the image on the paper to align these. So just do the best you can to get them in a proper alignment. And then take an acrylic block, lay it right on top of the stamp. Keep this edge parallel with the paper when you do this. We do the same thing with the color portion. Lay it right over there. It's only going to fit one way. Our images are drawn slightly off, so you don't have to be precise with it. We just want to get real close. Again, align this edge with the edge of the paper. Then when we stamp, we'll align it with the edge of the cardstock. That'll give us a method to align the stamps. Okay, we're going to start with the solid portion right here. The first thing we're going to do is we have a little bit of a color wash made up here in our tray, and it's made up of these two colors, a lot of yellow and a very small amount of the phthalo green. So we're going to take that and we're going to just paint all of the flowers with that. It's a very wet mixture. That's fine. We want it to actually dry on the stamp. So if I have too much on here, I'll actually brush it off so it allows it to dry. Or I can use a heat gun on it. So it'll dry off for me. Alright. And I'm going to take the tip of my brush and I'm going to pick up a couple particles of the pure phthalo green out of my tray. And I'm just going to touch those to one side or other of the leaf. It's going to give it a dark accent on one side. But because my original green is dry now, or relatively dry, I'm not going to get a lot of blending right away, and that's what I want. I want it to wait. Okay, so we're in essence painting right on the stamp. Now we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take my brush, clean it off a bit, and I'm going to have it just ever so slightly moist, and I'm going to take the yellow color burst. This is the Ken Oliver's lemon yellow from his original series. It's a very bright yellow, and I'll make a bit of a paste out of it here in my tray. And I'm going to fill in the majority of the center of these three flowers. I'm going to give that just a little bit of time to kind of firm up. And then for our final color, I'm going to use some of the Color Burst Tangerine from the new Caribbean Bright series. And I'm going to use that to just tip the edge of my flowers. I'm going to stay out of the yellow if I can, but if I draw a little yellow into it, it'll be okay. Darker colors go a lot farther as far as putting the color onto the stamps. Using yellow, you have to go back and re-ink your brush once in a while, but darker colors you don't need to do that. Okay, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually enter into the orange just a little bit in a couple places. That's going to assure me when I get this wet that the colors are going to mix. I want them to mix for me. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a piece of 110-pound watercolor cardstock and a mini mister. And I'm going to get all this wet again. And you can see the colors start to blend now. I'm going to stamp this down, keeping my block edge parallel with my paper. There we go. So you can see how my green's blended nicely, and I've got orange and yellows going. It's a very natural effect. Impossible for me to watercolor, but we use the use of the stamp, it comes out great. I'm going to dry this real fast. A little bit of extra water right here because if your paper stays with a bubble on it or a bump on it, that means it's still pretty wet. I think we got it out of there though. Alright, now if you're doing this, when you're doing this, don't use a heat gun. Just set the paper aside for 10 or 15 minutes. It'll dry nice and flat. You won't have to fight with it like I am to get it back to flat so you can stamp the next level. I'm going to use a VersaFine Onyx Black pigment pad on my solid stamp here. It's a nice fine line stamp. And this will give us a nice black outline around this. Or it could go down on this particular pad is also made in sepia, and that would be a very attractive shade to put on here too. So keep this edge parallel with the paper and trust that you've aligned it correctly. Lay it over the massing of the stamp and just match it up. And then stamp it down. See how we're parallel? And that's the trick. That works with anybody's stamp sets, not just ours. And there we have it. Now we're going to give this some embossing powder. Because we drew this to be random looking, you just have to get it close. And no one can tell it's not perfect. Earlier we made a card with this stamp, and on the card we actually included a couple more stamps. We used our freehand frame around the flower. It's freehand frame number 89901. It's our large frame. And we used a phrase with a frame on it, and that came from our freehand scripture set number 902. These phrases fit into either the circle, the square, or the rectangle. We use the rectangle here. And there you have it.